you can buy Trauma Bonded, a true story of navigating attachments forged in complex PTSD by me, anywhere books are sold, including Audible. We got an email recently from a listener, and I wanted to share what they said with you because as we are getting ready to enter the holiday season, there is so much anxiety about being with family or having to communicate with people or being with people you don't really like being with and putting on a happy face because it's supposed to be a happy time. And I think that this email and my response to it is really beneficial, especially as our holiday reminder that you're allowed to be human. So our reader says, Dear Sarah and Mason, I recently had a heated exchange with a colleague I work with. They had some valid issues, entirely fair, but the tone and volume were hostile and mocking at times, and with no space to allow me to respond. When prompted to respond, I would be interrupted and mocked or told I was wrong. When I would ask how I deserved to be spoken to in this style, they said to me that my behavior had brought this on me, and they replied more than once that I deserved it. I want to kind of remind our listeners, don't worry, this is not the end of the email, there's more, but I wanted to respond to this first paragraph. I want to remind the listeners that recognizing the set and setting when you're going to have a conversation with somebody is incredibly important, because when you know you're talking to somebody who is not in the brain space of listening to you or trying to understand what you are saying or being willing and open to constructive criticism, or if you are not in the brain space to hear what they are saying or being open to constructive criticism, usually it's best to say, hey, now is not the time for us to talk about this, and exit. It is incredibly difficult to do. Taking that 20-minute break to calm or soothe your physiology so that your frontal cortex is back online and you're back in a logical, rational, creative problem-solving brain space is difficult. It takes a lot of practice. I remember in the beginning when I started to recognize, hey, they're not in the space to be listening to me and this conversation isn't going to be fruitful, that I would just listen and say, I need to think about that. Thank you. I need to think about that too. Thank you. I need to think about that too. Thank you. I need to think about that too. Until I was out. That's an okay way to do it. Or it's also okay to turn around or just say, until we can talk about this, utilizing more respectful tones, I'm not talking, and to leave. That is okay. It will feel terrifying. It will feel uncomfortable. It's not supposed to be comfortable because your brain is saying, fight back or flee or freeze, or I'm going to start people pleasing. I'm going to start telling you what you want to hear just so you'll shut the fuck up. We do that. That is what our brain does.